All right, good evening, everyone. It is not a good evening for everybody. It is quite the active night tonight, so let's just get right to it. Here's the current radar loop for the supercell thunderstorms that are mostly in Grayson County and Cook County. However, they are starting to creep down into the northern parts of Denton County and Collin County, and we just had a tornado warning issued for northeastern Collin County. This is not for McKinney, or if you live in McKinney, or Prosper, or Salina, or anything like that, but it is for the northeastern part of the county. I would say Melissa, Anna, Westminster, Blue Ridge. If you know anybody in those areas, shoot them a text, give them a call real quick, and let them know what's going on. It is a radar indicated tornado. It is not a confirmed tornado, at least not at this point. Hopefully, it will not ever be a confirmed tornado. But if you are in the red polygon, and let's zoom in on that here. And for those of y'all who joined me earlier, hopefully I won't forget to switch screens. All right, so this is a close up of the tornado warned storm. As you can see, the red polygon is north of McKinney, Melissa, Blue Ridge, Anna, Weston, Westminster, Van Alstyne, Howe. Although it looks like the worst of it, it might be just south of Howe. But if if you live anywhere within that red polygon, or know someone that lives within that red polygon, have them seek shelter immediately. Okay, so let's put the velocity on here. And so you can see there is rotation. There's nothing tight as far as that goes, which is good. However, there's a lot of wind, and that's the other thing. You got to remember, green is going toward the radar, red is going away from the radar. So you have really broad rotation right here. It's not tight. It's not a tight couplet, as we say. So that's good. That means most likely it is not on the ground. It's not even a tight circulation, but I can certainly understand why the storm. I can certainly understand why the National Weather Service issued a tornado warning for this particular storm. Don't want to take any chances. Definitely want to seek shelter if you're in the northeastern Collin County area. So we'll put this in motion. And you kind of see the evolution. That rotation was around Collinsville, kind of weakened a little bit stronger couplet, and then now it's much broader, although it can tighten up really, really quickly. So you want to make sure that, especially if you're in Van Alstyne, Anna, Westminster, even Melissa, if you're in those areas, take it seriously. Not a tornado confirmed on the ground or anything, but just no need to panic. But just get in a sturdy shelter if you are in the northeastern Collin County area. All right, so I got the chat open here, and I'll make sure that if I get any chat questions. Well, actually, I don't know. There we go. Yeah, it is thundering in Saxby Bend. And Jerry, yes, Garland too. It is not too far. So that's actually a good segue to let's go back to reflectivity. And I'll get off this off. Again, a little bit of a hail core possibly showing up around Howe if we put the hydrometer layer on there. Yeah, I definitely can see some red and some dark red, so definitely some hail. I wouldn't be surprised to see golf ball or larger in there. That's so there's well, this is the classic severe weather situation where you have all three modes of severe weather that we have to watch for: tornadoes, which we're dealing with potential tornado right now, large hail, and damaging winds. It's all, unfortunately it's all three at once. All right, so I'm going to zoom out of this a little bit so you can get an idea. Dallas, Fort Worth proper, McKinney, Denton right here. So I'm going to put this in motion. And, these storms for the most part are moving to they were initially moving to the east. Now they kind of taken on more of a southeast. You can kind of tell, especially early on in this radar loop, you can see definitely two distinct supercell thunderstorms with rotation on the back end of both of them. Now, what you're starting to see a little bit is this second supercell to the west is starting to speed up and possibly catch the supercell that's in the front of it. Ironically, that would actually be some good news. Not great news by any means, but if these two storms can merge, then that typically will bring down the intensity of the thunderstorm. Now, don't get me wrong; it's not going to be anything that's going to die down anytime soon. All right, so I'll check the cat. Oh gosh, Christy, I would be nervous too. Salina and Princeton. Well, actually, Salina. We'll zoom in on Salina for you. I think Salina is actually okay, although they're going to get hammered with a storm. But I don't know that they're going to get. They're not in line with that. Of course, here's Salina right there. I'll zoom in a little bit more. And, well, I can't do that. Let's do this. Okay. Yeah, Salinas right there in the middle, so we'll put the velocity layer on there. Yeah, nothing, not that far away, but close enough, Christy. So I hope they're taking shelter if they're there. If they're not, make sure they are. So the air rotation is tightened up a little bit right here. Salinas right there, obviously really close, and so definitely some strong winds here. So again, if you live in Melissa and Van Alstyne, although this from the Van Alstyne standpoint, it looks like it's more of a straight line wind element right here. You see a lot of gusty winds right here, and actually, if you put, I don't want that one. If you put, you see some 52, 60. I know it's hard to read probably, but definitely some 60-mile-an-hour winds. This is just off the surface, so it doesn't mean it's hitting the ground, but there's a 83, 84-mile-an-hour wind couplet right there around that rotation, so that definitely means it's tightened up. So if you know people, in Melissa and even Salina, it's close enough. Take shelter immediately, and if you don't think they're paying attention, and if you do think they're paying attention, give them a call and make sure that they are in a secure area. If they have a helmet, put a helmet on. If they have hard-sole shoes, put the hard-sole shoes on. That way, if they happen to have to go through debris, then they won't cut their feet and all that. So, okay, so let's see. I want to make sure I catch all the comments here. Yes, Abra, the trifecta, not the good kind of trifecta. Hey, Jesse, are we expecting hail and tornadoes in Wiley? Well, not necessarily, but as you can see, there's definitely a chance that we could see both. I hope we see neither, to be honest. And as Abra mentions, a supercell collision would be good because, again, in general, that would keep the tornado circulation down. Doesn't mean it would be eliminated, but I'll usually take my chances with that. And you can already see some merger taking place with these two supercells right here. Okay, good, Chrissy. Everybody's already in shelter. I figured they were, but just wanted to make sure. We all tend to get distracted sometimes. So let's put this in motion. And again, we're going to have a new severe thunderstorm warning here in just a second. So the general motion was east, and then they turned southeast, these classic right movers, as we call them, this deviant motion to the right. And so I would say, you can especially see that last frame. These storms are the momentum of them carrying them toward I know it sounds weird, but from the North Pole to the equator, typically they will turn toward the equator and kind of make a due turn south. And that's sort of what you're seeing, with the storm north of Denton. And as you can see, the yellow box just popped up, and that means that there's a severe thunderstorm warning just issued for that storm. I think that's why. And if you look at the particulars, 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts, quarter-size hail. So this particular storm doesn't have a lot of big hail in it, although if you have quarter-size hail with 70-mile-an-hour winds, then that's just as bad sometimes as the bigger stuff. And then they had it moving southeast 35 miles an hour. I think that's a general motion. You probably will see some building down to the due south. And so that's why I think that when you kind of look at the bigger picture, and I know it's really hard to see the county lines with all the ground clutter, but I'll try to point this out here. So it's hard to see, I know, but this is Tarrant County. Boy, that's a bad drawing. This is Dallas County. Collin County right here. I've got another warning. Oh, that's the one they just issued. Okay. And this is Denton County. I know that's horrible drawing, but just wanted to give you a reference on where we are with everything. And let's see here. Okay. Hey, Leslie, got your hail protector up? Good, because that typically means we're not going to see any hail. So let's hope that continues, Leslie. Okay, so, and by the way, some of you I talk offline with, and you do all these rituals, if you will, to keep hail from coming. So whatever you have been doing to keep, for not everybody this week, unfortunately, but for whatever you've been doing to keep the hail away. And there's somebody probably watching that knows what I'm talking about. Just go do it if you haven't already. We need all the good mojo we can get. Okay, so with that, let's go back to this overall picture. So I would say that if you are in, well, I guess a better way to put it is if you're if you know friends or if you're watching from west of 35W, Sanger, Denton, Fort Worth, on down that way, you might miss out on, well, number one, you might miss out on the storms, and number two, you might just miss out on the rain, period. I think, and if you are anywhere east of 35E, at least based on the trajectory of these storms, you're probably going to get some rain at the very least, and unfortunately, you might get a little bit more. But so anyway, so that's kind of the general sense. And luckily, if there is any, I try, me, I try to be positive. Is that these are moving fairly quickly, 35 miles an hour, so it's not going to sit there and dump on you forever. But it is definitely storms to take seriously. That is for sure. Wait, I'm sorry to hear that, Andrew. The power's out again. I'm not surprised, unfortunately. It's just not a great storm. Okay, so again, for reference, I know the cities on here are hard to see. I may switch some other radar. I like this radar for rotation. That's why I switched to this radar scope. Radar Omega does a pretty good job with seeing, so I may switch back to that in just a second. But that's McKinney. That's where I circled there. So McKinney's about to get hit. Now, I say hit. I mean, it's we're not talking baseball size hail here. Cross my fingers. Hope I didn't jinx that. So let's do this. I'm going to temporarily, and while we're doing that, you can look at the satellite picture and see how blossomy these storms are. But again, you can kind of see that the back end of this, if you live in far western Tarrant County and Parker County, you're not going to see anything. So let's go back to Radar Omega, because that's a little easier to see the cities. And they have a decent velocity layer. Not as good as Radar Scope. It's usually pretty good. You can definitely see the cities better, that's for sure. Hey, Miss Thompson, Saxy. Well, yeah, I think that Saxy is going to get something. What it is exactly, don't know yet. I think unless these storms really fall apart, I think you're going to see definitely some stormy weather. That's for sure. Hopefully not anything horrible. And right now, we are not in the path of the worst. Hopefully it will stay that way. Okay, so let's put this in motion. And again, you're going to see a general trend here that these were moving east-southeast, turning to the southeast, that classic right mover, and then some of the momentum from the storms is taking it to the south. Now, I don't think it's going to go due south, so I don't think it's going to actually do that, but I think it's going to continue on the trajectory of going southeast. So if you were to see this continue on its current path, we'll put our little tool on here. So yes, we'll pick Saxy because obviously I'm biased towards Saxy. So if you, let's put some times on here. You know what? That is the wrong tool. My bad. This is the leading edge of the storm. So this is Saxy and others. And you'll see that in just a second. And can I move this? Good. You can't see that. Okay, so it's already at Prosper. That's pretty much a given. Allen, about 25 minutes. Fairview, about 30 minutes away. Parker, about 35. Murphy, about 40 minutes. And if you scroll down, I know it's hard for y'all to see. Wiley, 42 minutes. Saxy, about 45 minutes. So if the storms basically keep on their current speed and path, which change all the time, then you can see this in basically getting to Dallas County about 10:30, give or take. So hello, Misty. So if you have anything you need to do between now and, well, you don't want to wait till 10:30, but I would say between now and 10 o'clock, 10:15 at the latest, then if you need to secure furniture, lawn furniture, if you need to put your car in the garage, just in case, I would definitely do that now. Yeah, Miss Thompson. Yeah, I was going to talk about that. So a little tail on the west side. Is it safe to walk? Well, it's safe to walk right now, but I would not do it for very long because there's already lightning in the area. So now, if you want to walk inside, that's totally different. All right, so let's talk about Miss Thompson's concern. Well, I say concern. Question is a better way to put it. Is get rid of this. Get rid of this. Oops, I don't want to get rid of that. All right, so we do have this little appendage. Let me circle it here. Right there. So by itself, not too bad, right? And but let's put the velocity layer on there. And well, the good news is not much to it. That's good. However, it's just, and again, it's nothing to get overly concerned about right now, but we just have to watch for it to tighten up. That's the thing. We want to, if it starts to, we call that a couplet. If that couplet starts to tighten up, then that's when we need to get more concerned. So, but I don't see that yet. Now, let's go back over to the tornado warning storm. And the good news is that there's no tight couplets over here, but we do see a lot of wind, unfortunately, and a lot of strong wind. Let's see if we can't measure some of this. No, I don't want that. Well, you know what? Well, I'll do that in a second. Let's see. Don't know. Nope, that's not going to work. Okay, but I would do. Let me do this. So this is actually a pretty good illustration. So this is kind of the scope of the radar cuts off around Tom Beam, but pretty good little gust front. Well, it's more than a gust front. It's an outflow from a thunderstorm. So probably 60, 70 mile an hour winds in here. So if you live, it's probably already in Melissa, but Anna probably already there. But if you live or know people live in Blue Ridge or Celeste or something like that, and then eventually on north of Greenville, then again, if you know people there, shoot them a text, give them a call real quick and say, hey, just be on the lookout for some really rough weather. I don't know that they're probably going to keep the tornado warning until this not tightens up, but keeps on trending down. However, you start to see another notch around Melissa. So let's put the velocity back on here. Yeah, I don't see, zoom in there. I don't see any tight couplets, so that's good. But I would say that, probably right here, although it is outside the box, it doesn't necessarily, polygon, that doesn't mean anything, but that's something I'll just be watching for. So if you live in Princeton, Farmersville, even Blue Ridge, just watch the storm very closely. Now, if you're in the red flashing polygon, then you need to be in shelter, period. And you need to be watching me on the phone or something in a bathroom or a closet, something like that. I haven't seen a report of a tornado on the ground, so it's not that, but you just don't want to take that chance because these storms can ramp up really, really quickly. Okay, so it's still radar indicated, so it's not a report. Well, it's not a reported tornado. Still radar indicated, $half size hail, so that's big enough. It's not the baseball stuff, but that's still big enough. So we don't even want that. All right, so let's go back to reflectivity. So that's just, so I would say, again, starting to see this curvature right here. So, you got this inflow coming this way, and then you got outflow going this way. And so it's something that, it's just, Gotta watch it. I would not be shocked to see. Well, sorry about making you dizzy there. I would not be shocked at all if you see some kind of tornado warning issued for southeastern and southeastern Collin County. So it's just something to where if you live in Princeton, Farmersville, Nevada, maybe even Lavon, just right now, nothing to do except just be prepared on what you would do if this does get a little more serious towards your way, and then we will you may want to just be prepared just in case. Then again, it may kind of peter out, not the storm, but the rotation, and so we will go back. Misty, all the yucky stuff is above you. I think for the most part. Yeah, I know, Christy. Both your kiddos are going to have to seek shelter probably. your kiddos in Princeton, even though there's not a warning there, I would just tell them just to get be ready to take shelter really quickly if they need to, but nothing to be terribly concerned about yet. Okay, for Misty's sake, I am going to zoom out for her. Yeah, I think you're gonna be fine, Misty. I don't know that it's ever gonna get that far down. I mean, I'm not saying it's not gonna rain, but I don't know if it'll ever get that far down. So you're probably okay. Okay, so here's kind of the summary on what we got going on. Hello, Mr. Spencer. Yeah, not yet. The let's put this in motion. So we do have the one tornado warning. It's not a confirmed tornado on the ground or anything like that, but it is a radar indicated tornado. So, we do see some rotation that's pretty broad still, but on the reflectivity, it's tightening up a little bit. So we got to watch it. The notch, if you will, that Miss Thompson brought out before is kind of being absorbed into that storm. Although, it's the last couple radar frames. We got to watch that. All right. So, in summary, let's see what we got here. As a matter of fact, let's put the velocity on here. Yeah, I don't see anything on that western storm, but here's what you do see, though. And these are the byproducts of the supercell thunderstorms. So you have this wind situation here, 70-mile-an-hour winds most likely, in spots, not everywhere. And you have another shot right here. And if you put that in motion, and my drawings will go away, but you'll get the gist. So you'll see these green splotches make their way to the southeast, and there you go. So if you're in the path of those, which for the most part would be not just the northern half of Collin County, but probably almost all of Collin County, maybe not the far southern part, but again, these storms can do crazy things. You're going to have some wind. Hopefully you won't have any hail. And, as the weather nerd in me just saw a airport report for Gainesville, and it's really interesting. Yeah, 51 miles an hour, 76 mile an hour gust. That was reported back at 9:15. So these winds are serious, people. We could see some gusts. Most for sure see gusts over 60. Not everybody, but we definitely could see some gusts. 40 for sure, 50 most likely, and then maybe even above that. Okay, so let's go back to reflectivity one more time. You're welcome, Misty. No problem. I think you're gonna be the one that not has to deal with all this tonight. I think we will, but you won't. So that's well. And here's the thing. That's why this may not be a situation, or this may be a situation where we're not done with one set of storms. So we do have another supercell. Well, oh my gosh, man. So we have 4. We have this one, this one around Munster, and this one's still up in Oklahoma. And it's going to be that train, and it just depends on where the train ultimately goes. Now, right now, it's been going north of Dallas and Tarrant County. May stay that way. Hello, Denise. Northwestern Collin County. Well, I guess that's relative, but basically stormy for sure. Northwest Collin County would be what my definition would be. From McKinney, 380 north, 75 west. That would be Northwest Collin County. So it's nothing horrible, but it's definitely stormy. That's for sure. Yeah. So it's what is it? 5 till 10. It's going to be it's going to be a busy couple hours, that's for sure. I apologize, I'm trying to sneeze. Okay, so let's put this in motion one more time, then probably gonna sign off and make sure my hatches are battened down, that's for sure. Yeah, let's take a look at this motion here. Let's zoom in a little bit. Yeah, the good news is there's no. Well, I say that. Let's put velocity on the tornado warned storm. Let's put the velocity back on. Okay, yeah, no tight couplets or anything. Definitely gusty winds, that's for sure. But I can understand there's still some rotation there, so I can understand why the National Weather Service has not done anything with that. Okay, let's see before we sign off. I think this will do it. Yeah, there we go. So I do not want that. Oh, okay. Yeah, nothing. Definitely got some 40-mile-an-hour gusts here. Here, definitely, yeah, the white, definitely 60. Oh, I'm sorry, Denise. Will Saxy be the part that's right now? Let me take this off. Right now, Saxy is probably going to get some storms, but Saxy would be if they issue anything for Collin County. Saxy typically is in southeastern Collin County, if that makes sense. South central, southeastern Collin County. So if they issue something for Collin County that includes that part of Saxy, then that's what you would want to look for. I hope that's what you're asking. If not, let me know. I'll try to explain it better. So again, if you're just joining us, there's although I think it will change in fairly short order. There's severe thunderstorm warning for Denton County, the western half of Collin County, northeastern half of Collin County, tornado warning for the northeastern half of Collin County. Although I haven't seen any reports of tornadoes on the ground or anything like that, but definitely a stormy night, that's for sure. Let's see. Yeah, so just got a hail report in Denton. Ping pong ball, which is 1.5 inches, 6 miles west of Sanger. Okay. All right, so I can understand why that was north of Denton. Yeah, probably that little hail core right there. All right, so one last time, and I'll wrap this one up until we get. Okay, good, Denise. Thank you. I just want to make sure I answered your question. So here's the latest radar loop, and as you can tell, there's in a general sense, everything's moving to the southeast. It so I would say so if you live in north of 380, for sure you're going to get some rough weather. If you live in Collin and Denton County, really there's no real big highway that comes across there, but if you live basically if you live in all but the southern end of Denton or Collin County, then you're probably going to get some storms. It's not to say that you wouldn't get some storms in Tarrant County or Dallas County, but these storms are just moving southeast as opposed to south. Although they have had a tendency to build south, but as you can see, especially from these last little frames, it's not heading due south. Kind of looked like it was there for a while, but it's kind of and by the way, that's what these storms do. Oh, there's our severe thunderstorm warning. Okay, this actually answers Denise's question. So that part of Saxy is included, which is interesting because it's also Rockwall County, and they just didn't include any part of Dallas County. Basically, the part that Saxy would be in. So interesting. So this is for hail, golf ball size hail, 70-mile-an-hour winds, and that's not surprising at all. Now the hail's kind of come up a little bit, so that's not good. But typically, though, in this storm, and we'll stop this. The purple, this is reflectivity. I'll put on the hydrometer classification layer in just a second. But in reflectivity, you look for the purple here. Now you can also get hail in these darker reds, but purple is kind of almost a sure thing that you can see the hail. So that's from reflectivity. Now if we put on the hydrometer classification, if I can find it. Yeah, so what you're looking for there is you're looking for red, and you're looking for dark red, and then of course it goes up to yellow, which is kind of the giant hail. Don't see any of that, thankfully. But so a lot of the hail is, north of McKinney, if we put this in motion. Now, that's the other thing about hail is that it can pop up in one spot, and then it can just totally disappear and then pop up in another spot. So that's something that it's that's just the nature of hail. And as we all know, unfortunately, your neighborhood that's a neighborhood that's 2 miles away from you could get hammered. You can get nothing, but the reverse is true too. So that's why these hail cores are just unpredictable as far as where they're going to pop up. So, but that's what the warning's for. I hope most of us in that warning box, Polygon does not see hail of golf ball size, especially with 70-mile-an-hour winds. Okay, so let's go back to reflectivity. Yeah, Ben was asking if we're going to get large hail in Saxe. Well, I hope not. I mean, is it possible? Yes, but right now, some of these hail cores are on the northern end and the western end of these storms, and so that's. I mean, it's not good if you're underneath it, obviously, but it's not. I don't see. Although the storm up in still in Grayson County that's about to move into Fannin County, that's a decent sized hail core there. Uh, oh, thank you, Denise. I'm on 3 smart TVs in her house. Well, I feel honored. Thank you, Denise. I appreciate that. Um, so and I've known Denise for a long time since high school, and I've said this many times. I just want to keep people informed, and probably even more than that, I just want to keep them safe. Because look, we're all busy, and we're all guilty of it. Not paying attention to the weather, especially when it's going to get bad. So if you're not doing that, I just want to help make sure that, hey, it is something to be concerned about. And tonight I say concerned. I mean, yes, that doesn't mean that you panic or anything. It just means probably the better word is be weather aware. So that's what this stream is all about, really, is education and being weather aware. Yeah, Ben. Well, is Saxe in the yellow box? Well, yes and no. So the Collin County part of Saxe is. The Dallas County part of Saxe is not. It's one of those kind of rare situations to where, to where because everybody that lives here, or really any city that's in two different counties, you have this part of the city that's in one county, the other part of the city is in another county, and so it doesn't happen very often, but it's one of those weird times, if you will, that technically part of Saxe is in the warning and the Dallas County part's not. Now, having said all that, doesn't really matter. Everybody in Saxe and Northeast Dallas County, really, certainly everybody northeast of George Bush, just pay attention. That's what you need to do. Okay. Oh, you're welcome, Liz. Like I was just saying, I just want to keep you informed. Hey, Kara, just tuning in. It's actually going to be okay. Well, let's hope so. As you probably just heard, part of Saxe is in the warning box, Polygon, some of it's not. But again, I just don't really think that matters. I think really, if you live east of Highway 75, then you just pay attention. It's just that's probably the best advice I can give you. Yeah, Kara, I do see that up by Denton. So we were talking about that earlier. Michelle, I'm sorry, I just saw Josephine. Let me zoom in for Michelle real quick before we go to Kara's question. Zoom in so I can get Josephine on the map. I think I can. Yeah, there you go, right there. Yeah, you're definitely number one, Michelle. You're definitely in the severe thunderstorm Polygon, which is a warned storm for 70-mile-an-hour winds and golf ball size hail. So definitely want to, no tornado rotations, circulations, anything like that. But just it's probably gonna be in your neck of the woods in the next 30 minutes. So just be prepared. If you gotta do anything, do it now. Okay, so back to Kara's question. So yeah, so this little appendage, if you will, has been coming and going for really the last hour or so. So let's put the velocity scan on there. And the good news is that there's just not a whole lot going on there. And again, I'll go back and forth. And you know what? Matter of fact, we'll just do this. I don't know why I'm making this so hard. So we'll do reflectivity and velocity on the same screen. All right, so let's zoom in there. Okay. So as you can see, Bolivar west of Sanger on the reflectivity is, where the appendage is. Not really necessarily a traditional spot to see that in the storm structure, but it doesn't matter. I mean, rotation can happen almost anywhere. But you go right over here, and now to be fair, part of this looks like there's some radar data missing here, so it's probably um, a little misleading as far as what kind of rotation there is. I don't see a lot, and I guess excuse me, and I'll zoom out here. Probably more importantly, the National Weather Service doesn't see it, so that's good. Now that could change while we're talking, so that's something that we definitely want to watch out for. And if we put the reflectivity back on the full screen, and so we put this in motion, and you're gonna figure out really fast that it's headed in a general southeast direction. Um, it's obviously further west than any of the other things we've been dealing with. However, again, there's not a tornado warning attached to it. There's not enough rotation to be concerned about, and at every radar scan, it could be something totally different. So right now, nothing to be too concerned about, but it's just something we want to watch. That's for sure. Are these going to weaken, Kara? Well, I guess you could say, relatively speaking, they have from what they were in Oklahoma. But as far as weakening to the point where it's just going to be your good old garden variety thunderstorm, probably not. But that doesn't mean it's going to be a destructive storm either. So, but in general, and this is actually, let me zoom in a little bit on this particular frame, and I'll give you a good example. So of what we're dealing with from a storm standpoint. So this tornado warning is still in effect for 8 more minutes. It's still radar indicated. So that means it hasn't been confirmed on the ground by a spotter or anything. Get rid of this box. However, I can see what the concern is because this, get my highlighter, that is a decently tight couplet right there. Again, green is going toward the radar, red is going away from the radar, and it's really tight right there. So that I can definitely understand why they still have the warning up, and they may extend that warning east. Just depends on if that keeps going. So that's the worst storm of them all. And so we put reflectivity back on there. So if you've been watching, and I know I've been on for about 40 minutes now, and I know not everybody was watching from the very beginning. These were 2 distinct supercells when they were when they were in Grayson County and Cook County, Gainesville, Sherman. As you can tell, they're starting to merge, and that's a good thing. Because typically when supercells merge, I always like to talk about this. Supercells when they're by themselves are the worst because they're not sharing moisture with another storm. They're not sharing instability with another storm, and it's they just have it all to themselves. However, it's just like anything else in real life, right? So when you have to share, then you don't get as much as something. So that's a good thing from a storm standpoint. Now, having said that, this east supercell is still meaning business because you still have a hail core in Blue Ridge and Pilot Grove, Trenton, over toward Leonard, getting out over toward Celeste. So again, if you live in or have family or friends that live in Greenville, ultimately Commerce, just you definitely want to keep an eye on that storm. They're within the severe thunderstorm polygon, so they're already being warned for that. Now, if you look, getting back to western Collin County and probably ultimately the eastern half of Dallas County, this is the cell, this supercell is what we want to watch. Now, right now, look, it's not just some lazy thunderstorm, but it's definitely, in the general sense, it's definitely come down. So it kind of goes back to what Kara was saying, asking is, are they going to weaken? And they definitely could. I just don't count on that as far as preparedness. until they actually do. So that's kind of what I'm getting at. Now, as I talked about in my update about around 7 o'clock, um, we did have a fairly healthy capping inversion still early in the evening, and I haven't looked at the latest sounding or anything, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's still there. But it's probably in a weakened state, so that's probably why. If there's, I would guess the reason that they're not quite as intense as they were is because I'm sure the cap is acting a little bit on it. Um, and if it runs into cap that's still fairly strong, then almost always the cap wins. So they just issued another severe thunderstorm, or that third supercell, and I'll expand out. So like I said, we have 4 supercells if you're just joining us, and I'll show them to you. So this one's getting messy, which, by the way, when you hear a messy storm mode, that is music to your ears, because messy is not supercell. Messy has to share, and messy has to, fight for stuff, and that's why messy storm structures are not a bad thing. But for the most part, we still have, we got 1 supercell, we got 2, I'll do my 1 there. I have 3, which they just issued a hail report of tennis ball size with that one. And then we have number 4 in Oklahoma. And we put this in motion, and you'll kind of get an idea of what I mean. So we're kind of on this train, if you will. Thank you, Kathy. I appreciate your comment there. Now, again, does it mean that somebody's going to get hammered 4 separate times? Well, somebody might, especially the further north you are. But the further south you are, then chances, doesn't guarantee anything, but chances are you're going to be a little bit better off. So there's the bigger picture, and really when you get back into Oklahoma, you still have some issues to deal with. That's why I don't think, unfortunately, it'll be totally over when these storms get through. Okay, so let's kind of zoom in one more time, and then I'll check. I don't see any other messages in the chat. All right, so let's zoom in one more time and kind of get our bearings here. All right, so the latest warnings are the Collin County storm, the eastern half of Collin County and Rockwall County, and the Collin County part of Saxe, so not the South County part, but the Collin, and then northern Denton County. And so, it's really weird because there will be people in Ben, I hope we don't hear any sirens, to be honest. So here's the thing. Let's see. I just got a hail report. Let's see. Yeah, so getting some decent hail reports in this particular one right here. So let's put see if we put the hydrometer on there real quick. Yeah, I think the rate is probably because they're getting reports of 2 to 3 inch hail, like I said, which is around tennis ball. I don't see it on radar, but that means it's not happening. But so that's just a storm we're gonna have to watch. That's for sure. And I will say this: the hydrometer classification is not, it's not foolproof. And just because you don't see red or yellows on it doesn't mean it's not hailing. It doesn't mean it's not hailing big. But we just got a new tornado warning for this storm right here. Still radar indicated. Let's see. Over Trenton, 16 miles southwest of Bonham, moving southeast at 15. Yeah, so that's rotation. And no, I don't want to do that again. And we'll put velocity on there just real quick. Yeah, so that's not going to work. Yeah, that tight rotation right there. So again, if you live, if you know somebody that lives in Celeste, Wolf City, anything north of Greenville, ultimately Commerce, if it holds together, definitely want to keep them in mind. Okay, so let's go back to reflectivity real quick. and kind of wrap this particular thing up. All right, so here's what we can expect in the next 15 to 45 minutes. So if you are, well, before I was saying if you're east of 35E, you might see something, but you might not see anything then. So I would definitely say if you live in the far eastern part of Tarrant County, uh, pretty much all of Collin County except maybe the southwest corner, and then unless these storms take a turn to the south, you're going to see it clip probably northeast Dallas County, which of course includes Saxon and Garland and all those guys, and then obviously into southeast Collin County and Rockwell County. So that will happen within the next 15 to 30 minutes. So here's what you need to be prepared for. Yeah, Leslie, I did see that tornado near Trenton. Yeah, that's a bummer. Hey Taylor, nothing in Salina. Well, I mean, I think that you're gonna see some stormy weather and you might see some hail. So just FYI there. So I wouldn't say nothing. But so these, I'm gonna put this in motion one more time before I sign off. So, let's put this in motion. Oh, you're welcome, Taylor. And if you are in Salina, just oh, nothing juicy. Okay. Well, that all depends on your definition of juicy, but I know what you're getting at. So you can see from these motions, there was a little point to where it wanted to go kind of due south, and it's not kind of going back more east southeast, which again is not hail in Providence Village. Yeah, I know exactly where you're talking about, Andrew. Let's let me put this on real quick. I think I can zoom in. Boy, that's well. Let's see. You can't really see it, but it's right above Lincoln Park. So I don't, and we'll put this in motion. I don't. Yeah, you're right, Aubrey. Basically, yeah, I think you're gonna be okay for the most part. Matter of fact, I think it's gonna quit raining where you're at in a second. So you're probably okay. And then, so let's see. Leslie. Well, that's a good question. I don't know that. Don't know that I would yet, to be honest with you. But I hope they're kind of aware anyway. I'll put it that way. Yeah, Andrew, you don't want to move the car in the garage. Well, right now you don't have to, but I will say, Andrew, that there has been. I'll circle it for you. There has been some hail reports. Whoops. Try this one more time. There have been some decent hail reports in that part of the storm. Some are 2 inches. So if I were you, just to be safe, because see, this is if you put it in the car, if you put it in the garage, then it'll prevent it from hailing. I would probably do it just in case. I mean, I think you're gonna be fine, but I don't know. I don't know if I would take that chance, but just I guess fair warning, I guess. But it doesn't look too bad though, that's for sure. All right, so put this in motion one more time. So while I was doing that, you can see it's yeah. So I can again, it's wanting to trend a little more to the southeast instead of east southeast instead of southeast. So I think the polygons are probably pretty accurate in the sense that I don't know that you'll see anything too bad west of those polygons right now. Now again, that could change. But well, I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say we're gonna miss out. Some people know what I'm talking about. So, but we might. These trajectories of these storms. I don't want anybody to have a tornado or hail or wind damage, anything like that. But I would like some rain, so I'll put it that way. Hopefully, Saxy will get it. So anyway, okay. So I'm gonna sign off. I don't see any more comments in the chat. If I see them when I sign off, I'll try to answer them. But I appreciate everyone watching. And as always, I'm watching weather so you don't have to. Hopefully, we will all escape the night with just rain and not anything else. So let's just hope that's the case. But I'll be watching it as always. And appreciate your support. Appreciate you watching. And we will talk to you soon. And in a way, I hope it's not later tonight. But if it is, I hope it's only because it's just a wrap up. So how about that? So thanks for watching, everybody. I appreciate it.